RTD's slow train summer has chugged along into winter. Now, while RTD has sped up some of the slow zones on light rail, new areas now have slowdowns. You remember when Marshall Zellinger raced an RTD train live on our air and won? Well, today, Marshall ran over to RTD. He actually drove there, I presume, figure of speech. But he went to ask the head of that agency about the slow trains and about state leaders' frustration with RTD and about the agency hiding details about the firing of their police chief.
Slow zones will slow to no zones next week. For 72 hours, from Tuesday through Thursday, RTD will shut down light rail from Southmore to Broadway along I-25 to repair rail burn that is causing trains to go just 10 miles per hour.
Why should someone ride your system if they rely on getting somewhere on time?
They should ride our system basically because we provide access to a myriad of different activity sites.
RTD General Manager Deborah Johnson said slow ends to the slow zones on the E, H, R, and D lines along I-25, 225, and Santa Fe is in part because the contractor needed to find a working rail grinder, and also because of the weather.
I'd be remiss in not factoring in that we have exposed rail that is subject to seasons.
During his State of the State speech, Democratic Governor Jared Polis called for better governance of RTD, more accountability, and to get more people where they need to go. Last year, lawmakers almost overhauled the oversight of RTD.
Do you feel like the governor and the state legislature are threatening RTD?
No, I don't think they're threatening. I think basically what they're trying to do is ensure that there is good governance for a vital public service being transportation delivery.
We also talked about the firing of RTD Police Chief Joel Fitzgerald last year. His termination letter says an investigation found he sped more than 100 miles per hour 23 times, and that he and other top command staff responded to calls without wearing body cameras. I asked Johnson why she refused to explain his firing after she signed his termination letter in September, the one we didn't even get our hands on until November.
As relates to minimizing risk and exposure to the enterprise, working in conjunction with legal counsel, it was in the interest of the agency at that time, once again, to ensure that we were doing our due diligence to minimize the exposure to the agency.
Is that corporate talk for you, or worried that you might get sued if you said something?
I wouldn't say it's corporate talk. I speak like this. So once again, in my role, I was minimizing risk and exposure to the Regional Transportation District.
Sorry, go.
We also talked about how RTD is a public agency that receives public tax dollars, and when Johnson believes information is private and not the public's right to know, I also asked her if she watched my race against a 10-mile-per-hour light rail train. Our full conversations on the next YouTube channel.
It's not corporate speak, Marshall. She just talks like that. So they fended off a state takeover once, but there's still people at the state capitol that think that RTD is so much of a mess that they have to be taken over. So what is their plan to minimize risk to the enterprise and exposure if the state wants to take them over this year?
Well, I know the governor is big on SMART acts. RTD doesn't have to go and present to the legislature about the SMART Act, I don't believe, showing measurable goals and achievements. But I think RTD has to show some sort of proof that they're going in this direction, and then maybe the legislature won't try to do an overhaul, and the governor won't come in and say, hey, legislature, give me a bill to sign that says we're going to add board members that put the state in control. But we've seen things fail at the state legislature many years, and then they'll come back and finally pass. So I think RTD just has to show some positive numbers for maybe the state to back off.
Like, what if they were to beat you in a race?
After this next week, when the light rail's back up and running, and hopefully it's full speed ahead at DU, that could be the case.
Okay. All right. Lace up your shoes. Marshall Zellinger, thank you.